let's intro from here this way. Tell your name and what you do in wrestling.
Sure. Hi, I am Gabby Ortiz. I am a professional wrestler. I've been doing it about 8 years. I just wrestled before I got here, and it was hot.
I'm Haevyn, and I'm a content creator, mostly focusing on wrestling, news, rumors, recaps, just everything wrestling.
Hi, I'm Giselle. I'm an artist, like illustrator, and I recently just started training to be a wrestler myself.
Another one!
Thank you. Yeah, like literally a month ago. So.
Hi, I'm Jordy, but my ring name is JEM. I'm also a professional wrestler. I've been doing it for about like 3 years on and off because it gets a little hard sometimes.
Hi, I'm Damaris, and I am a retired professional wrestler. I just recently stopped wrestling in July of last year, but I was active for close to 10 years.
Okay, so first question, ladies. What is the most exciting thing you guys get to do in your chosen paths in wrestling?
For me, it's just being able to wrestle in front of people. Spend a lot of money up front on training and gear and makeup and hair extensions and all of the things that you need to look fierce, and then you get to apply all of that stuff in front of a crowd of people, and hopefully they like it. And I've been doing it a while, so I think people enjoy what I do, which is good.
I would say just building a community, building those connections with people. When we go live, you have like your core audience. They're always there no matter what you're talking about. And you get to meet them in person, take pictures. I like building that community.
I think for me, it's probably like making people smile with like stuff, with like my work and stuff, because or even just like actually like seeing like on their faces, like their mind like kind of expanding with like an idea that's been like put on paper, and maybe like something that they may not have thought of before. So that's I find that kind of rewarding.
For me, similar to like what Gabby said, just feeling like a superstar, whether like you're performing in front of like 10 people, 100 people, 1,000 people. It's like, I feel like a real life superhero. I feel like just like a real life like superstar when like I go out through that curtain, I hear my music. I'm a big fan of entrances and like just getting like glammed up. So I do love that part. I'm a big diva at heart. So, but yeah.
Yeah, for me, the first like half of my career, I would say the most exciting part was just living out a dream of being a professional wrestler, because it was something that I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. So the first half of my career, I was just like living out my dream. But I feel like the last few years of my career, the most exciting part was just being more creative, like in the ring. It's so many things that you can just create, like through moves, through sequences, and for the last few years of my career, I like focused more on that, and that became so exciting to me.
So I'm gonna ask some individual questions. So my first question is for you, Jem.
Oh God, why me first?
So you recently had your first main event, which I was there for. So you came from a stable, from a group of individuals, and then you kind of debuted and shined on your own. So what is the difference from working with two guys as a stable and then kind of getting the main event, for a championship at your home promotion?
First of all, the swag. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. So the stable, which was called the Scotter Ricans, so basically it was 2 Puerto Ricans, 1 Scottish person, and we were just like Scotter Ricans. It started off as a joke, but people kind of enjoyed it. It was cool and all. I do love the 2 individuals, Dave Rivera and KJ Mack. They're great people. They helped me a lot, especially when the beginning of my journey. The only thing was though is for me, I kind of just didn't want to be known as a Puerto Rican like wrestler. I actually wanted to be like, you know, I wanted to be a wrestler who is Puerto Rican, but I didn't want to be a Puerto Rican wrestler, if that makes sense. So like, you know, like I'll rep my culture like anytime, but I wanted to also just be known as, at the time I was going by the name Jordy Lee. So I wanted to be like, you know, this like bratty, like fierce girl Jordy Lee. And I did feel a little bit of a disconnect because I realized, like I said, I tend to be a little bit of a diva at heart. And I was just like, maybe I gotta try it. So being like on my own now rebranded as JEM, I'm responsible for everything that I do for the most part. I kind of get to control like the image and presentation of myself, and you know, I don't really have to worry about like, again, it's very different personalities. So, and I know I could be like really extra at times, so I don't have to worry about, I guess, putting that extraness on like other people. And I don't know if you wanted me to address like the main event.
Well, yeah, just how was that experience? I mean, I was there for that. I mean, you went through it, girly.
I did go through it. I'm still traumatized to this day. I went through a freaking table. I'm still. Yeah.
First main event.
It was my first ever main event. And I'm not gonna lie, like, can I cuss?
Yeah. Yes.
Can I cuss? I feel like a lot of bitches was hating on me. Cause like legit, when people see me, they see like, again, they see a diva, they see a girl who's like not really being taken serious. So when they heard I was main eventing, like people kind of like had their like thoughts and reservations about it, and like they kind of already was like, oh, like this girl's gonna do bad. And I'm not gonna lie, it did get to me, like the hate like did get to me, especially from like my own peers, people that I thought would be like at least supportive of me. I'm not gonna lie, I definitely, like the day of, like I was crying a lot, like I was in my bag, I was nervous, I shut down. But then like I had like good people like in my corner who would like talk to me right before and was like, yo, yo, I'm so proud of you, like you came so far. Like I remember just crying like really happy tears because like I had like my people that supported me. And as much as I hate my opponent, Abraham Khan, who put me through a table, and all his friends, Rembrandt, Cuzzo, and all the Federated, I have to say Abe definitely gave me one of like the best matches ever. As much as we hate each other, we have great in-ring chemistry. I just felt like I proved a lot of people wrong. And I think people were even more mad that I did good. At least I think so. I think I did great, but so it was a lot of like ups and downs, but I'm very proud of everything that we did that day. And yeah, my neck still hurts from that table, but it's whatever. I'll get him back, maybe.
Yes. You were amazing. Like I said, that had me stressed. I was like, oh,
Girl,
they act like I don't know them because they won't.
girl, like also like I thought I won the belt. Like I pinned him, and then they decided to say, nah, it wasn't a legit win, so you did not win the belt. And then that was it. I was so mad.
Yeah.
It's whatever. Next time. Thank you.
So, Haevyn, questions for you. So you work for WWE 2K. Yes. And you got to experience, you know, talking to Natty, seeing Roman from the corner, because you know, I was jealous in spirit. I was. And you got to. Jey Uso knows who you are. So how was that experience?
It was crazy. So like a year ago, 2K, they had messaged me and asked could they share my video, because I made a video about the game last year. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then this year, they messaged me and was like, hey, send us your email. So I was like, all right, cool. So I thought maybe they would just send me the game. But they was like, hey, we're gonna do like the Creative Fest and the hands-on, and we're inviting you. So I was like, great. So like they flew us out. The first hands-on, we didn't have the whole game, but yeah, I got to speak to Natalia. She was so nice, and she was willing to just sit and talk with us for as long as she could. And then the second time, yeah, a bunch of the wrestlers, I saw Roman. He walked in, but he wasn't talking to most of us. He walked in, and he went straight to Busted Open. He went to that podcast. But yeah, when Jey Uso walked in, he was like, I know you, and I was like, me? And then when I got to meet him, he was like, oh, it's nice to finally meet you. And I'm like, oh my God, I like you too. And it was just so crazy because like, you know, you make content for yourself, because I'm making it because I love wrestling. But I never really thought like, oh, the actual wrestlers would see it and actually watch and like know who you are. So that was super cool. It was really cool. Yeah, and then the 2K team, they're really nice. You know, they made sure we had everything we needed. And then being really creative, that was really cool. It was a great experience.
And let me tell you, she's known. We can go to a museum and they're like, aren't you such and such? And I'm like, oh, I was just trying to look at the sites, but okay, that's what we're doing today. So, Gabby, you recently posted, you started filming a movie, which is super awesome. And so would you like to just give us a little bit of how that experience? Yes, share it up, give it up.
Anyway, it's called First Date of Fear, and
How is that, like, I know you said it was a dream of yours to, you know, film and act, and so how was that experience? How's that?
acting is my first love. Like point blank, it's the first thing I ever wanted to do. It, for a long time, was the only thing I ever wanted to do. I studied it all throughout high school, all throughout middle school into high school, and then I still consider myself an actor to this day. As a professional wrestler, I think most of what we do is acting. And once you let go of the ego of the character that you are, and you just be an actor, your career is so much better. You feel so much better about certain things. Because, you know, I'm a little smaller guy, so there's a lot of times when I, you know, either get dropped out or, you know, get looked at as a certain way. But when I say, oh, I am the gifted Gabby Ortiz, well, let me say that. I am Gabriella Belpre playing the gifted Gabby Ortiz. When I walk, you know, through that curtain. And that's when the ego goes away, and that's when it doesn't matter from over, under, whatever. I am playing my part in this little movie we're making right now. So now yeah, it's, if you think that way, it hurts a lot less, like your ego, you know, when things don't go your way or when things don't go the way you want it to, when you just say, oh, I'm just an actress. Right. So I'm filming a movie now. We've done a couple days of shooting. It's been a dream come true. It's an indie horror movie, indie horror comedy called First Date of Fear. It's based out of Delaware. It will most likely be on Tubi, so it's free, so you better watch it. And it's just been like it's been like a dream because they give us so much improv, they give us so much time to ad lib and like really make the movie our own, and it's been so much fun for me. And being on a set's really cool. I used to act regularly when I was a child, so I did a lot of local plays, and I was also in a couple movies when I was a kid. And you know, the things in life happened, and my parents weren't able to upkeep my career, so I just became a regular kid that did school plays. So it's really fun to be back on a set. That just feels so familiar. It feels more familiar than The Ring has ever felt to me, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, I'm loving that. And Jim, I actually wanted to say something about what you said earlier. I was sent to Japan like 2 months after my first match. Bitches was hating. They were not stoked about it. You know what I did? Got on the plane and went to Japan and didn't think about them again. So you remember that, okay? You remember that. Come on! Sorry, that was completely off kilter. That was completely off. I needed to acknowledge that. But yeah, you know, filming is a movie is really cool. It's the best, and I want to do it all the time. Just love that.
Y'all check it out on TV. You heard it. So Damaris, you are retired. It's very sad when you're retired. Happy but sad because I've you know worked with you previously at shows and everything. And so, what is the hardest thing about being in retirement? Because I know like when you're a wrestler, you're always on the go. You gotta prepare. You gotta do promos. You gotta be ready for traveling. But now you're kind of at rest. And so, what is the hardest thing about being retired?
I think the hardest thing, just like the process of retirement. So for me, the hardest part was just the process of knowing that I felt like it was time to retire. So like knowing that, but keep trying to keep going because I didn't want to like let anybody down, and I felt like if I like left wrestling, that I would be letting people down. So that like made me like keep going. And then I just felt like, no, like, I feel like you know when you know, and you should just trust that you know that. And so just post-retirement, it's not as hard as what the process was, because it was a process that I felt like at the end of last year, like, so at the end of like 2023, I kind of was like, I don't know, like how much longer I'm going to keep going, but I just wanted to keep going for other people for the most part. Like, no, like, because I love my wrestling school, like I love the people that I'm working with, I love the people I'm training with, so I didn't want to like let them down. But then like once I really was like, no, like, I think that this is just time for me to let go, or time for me to stop. So that was the most emotional part about it for me. But being retired is not really like hard for me because I just was on and go for like 10 years straight and never took a break, never was injured, like never, like nothing ever stopped me. Like I just did it for 10 years straight. So, and then like while working regular jobs, working 2 jobs at a time, like just always on the go. So then now I'm just like, oh, like this is so much more, it's so much more rest, it's more peaceful. So like the actual retirement, I'm just like more at rest, but the process of making that decision was hard for me.
Okay, I like that.
It's hard for me too. I miss her so much.
Yeah, I was like, oh no. Giselle, you are a fellow creative in regards to you do art, and sometimes as a writer, I do get writer's block. So do you as an artist ever get moments where there's some kind of creative block and it's hard to kind of dabble in the art that you do?
Oh, yeah, probably too often, to be honest. I have gotten to the point where it's more for me like to continue to practice in terms of like finding the discipline to always draw even just a little something, if it's just for like 5 minutes or something like that. Because I know like if I depend on just strictly motivation, then you know that'll continue to ebb and flow and just like waver and stuff like that. So I definitely do get artist block. Actually, like as an example, I'm like working on my own comic right now, and so thank you. And there's some points where you have like the idea for the story, or like you have one point of a story, like or like a beginning and then like an end, but you're not sure about like the in between and like how these people get to these paths and like how to map out certain characters and stuff like that. So then sometimes I'll get like a little overwhelmed by that and just like kind of just get like a block and just not sure where to go with it. So like I actually kind of like in a little bit of that right now with it. Hence why it's like taking a while to like release like some issues and stuff like that. But that is something that I'm trying to continue to traverse by staying disciplined with actually continuing to at least practice my craft, even if it's just like maybe like anatomy practice or just like random doodling or something like that. But yeah.
Okay, as a writer, just sometimes I'll have the end, and then I'm like, oh, and then I don't plot, I just go, and so more detrimental to anything to do that, but I definitely understand in that regard. And so, as women who are women of color working in wrestling, what is one thing that you would change about professional wrestling? And this can be either as a worker or as a fan.
Everything. It's just I come from like I said, the acting world as a kid, and then I worked right down the street at City Hall for Mayor Kenny for 8 years. It's the entire 8 years he was there. I was wrestling at the same time, and the whiplash of going from a place that has an HR rep and like and a pay stub and certain hours to going the next day to a professional wrestling event where I gotta like, where's my money, guy? And like, or if someone makes a weird comment saying like, who do I tell? Who do I go to? And there's no one to say anything. But you know, it's also like, it also gives you the muscle to like deal with things on your own instead of, you know, running to somebody to deal with it for you. So I used my professional administrative abilities in wrestling many times, and vice versa. I just wish there was a little bit more. I wish the professional part of the wrestling was more prevalent in our locker rooms for the most part.
As a creator, I would say just the hate would be toned down. You know, people are so evil, so hateful. As a woman, you'll get told, oh, she doesn't know what she's talking about just because she's a woman, or she only likes them because they're hot. FYI, most of the men not hot. So I'm like, no, we're watching because we like the student. If some of them happen to be attractive, cool, but you know, it's just that part is very frustrating because I'm like, I've been watching since as long as I can remember. You know, like I like the character work, the storylines, the wrestling. But they're like, no, you just like them because they're hot. Maybe they're hot to you. But I'm here to see how this unfolds, you know?
Roman in the chest.
I mean, Roman, yes,
Roman, yes.
but most of them don't look like Roman. So,
Facts.
it's like Roman Reigns, it's Roman Reigns.
It's Roman Reigns.
So yeah, I just wish like, you know, the hate would just go away. Like, it's annoying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about this question a fair amount because I don't know if my answer might be like a little like that's terrible. You know, like they shouldn't have to deal with that, especially if you're working for like some of these major companies that could absolutely afford to, you know, offer healthcare for these people. So that's something that like really pisses me off to this day. Besides that, I would like to see more prevalent LGBTQ representation, and you know, obviously they're definitely out there, like especially like in the indies and stuff like that. But in mainstream, you know, I feel like they're trying to kind of dim them a little bit, or like just kind of like dilute, you know, that form of representation on rosters, and they're kind of trying to be like a bit succinct about it, but like, you know, I think it's still noticeable. So I would like to see that change and continue to go back in the upswing. So.
Piggyback off what Gabby says, because I've had my experiences, especially in my New Blood days, where people would just say something so out of pocket. I'm not gonna lie. What I would like to see change is me not getting blamed for being in the space for somebody saying something inappropriate. I'm like, I'm sorry that me standing here made that person say that. And I just wish that, especially for like, you know, my like fellow like male wrestlers, the ones that would be like, you know, considered like my big brothers, my protectors, speak up. Cause, you know, I was in a locker room where I thought it was like a group of men that would like, you know, just look out for me. And not one of them stood up to the person who said something a little inappropriate. And it had to take someone who wasn't even there to like check that person. So I just wish, you know, with the way a lot of like the guys would portray themselves as these big badasses, also apply that in real life, okay? Cause like, especially for like us girls who like will be in a locker room full of like a whole bunch of like men, some of them don't know like how to talk to women at times. And I'm like, please, like, you know, chill, it's okay. Like, just please. So I would say that.
Yeah, I think like when I first started wrestling, the biggest change that I would like wanted to see is just more support from like peers and everything. Like, cause when you training together, like y'all are coming from like the same home, right? So it's just like y'all should be like motivating each other, and like when you out there like getting booking and stuff, like y'all should be like supporting each other. So I feel like when I first started, it really wasn't like that. Like it was the opposite. But then I feel like over the years, it has gotten way better. And like I would say, like with the wrestling school that I was at, it was like the total opposite of what I experienced when I first started wrestling. And it was like a lot of support, and just a lot of support for my peers, and a lot of support from just everybody. So I think that wrestling has gotten better, like as far as like support from like your peers and the people that you train in with. So I just think continuing to do that and supporting each other, because yeah, like wrestling is like it is only a limited spot on shows. So you should be like wanting that spot on the show. But you can have that spot on the show and also like help somebody else. Like it don't have to be like down in that person so you get that spot. Like you can do both. Like, and you should be confident in your abilities to know that I can still get these opportunities, but use my knowledge and my experience to help these younger people that's coming up.
All really great answers, honestly. I don't wrestle, but I've been in the locker room just doing my job, and I've had to either say something when nobody said anything. You know the story when I had to, like, the 8th time, they kept like walking through interviews, and I'm like, your peers, let them do the interview. That 8th time, I was like, all right, now I have to yell because you're not listening, and I'm like, why do I have to say something 8 times? The first time, like, these are your fellow wrestlers, let them do their 2-minute promo and go about your day, you know? Like, so I definitely hear you guys, especially as far as either getting the hate, because I've seen it for you, I've seen it with you, and then just not being kind, you know, like, you know, not being kind, whatever. So we are women, and we love women's wrestling, right? So tell everybody your favorite women's match.
My favorite women's match is actually me and Damaris. It was at a company called Pro Wrestling R. I believe they still run. Yes. I was their first women's champion, which I felt I did not deserve because I thought it should have gone to Damaris, and I still believe that to this day. But she put me through it, and we went to the back and we got a standing ovation, and I will never ever forget that. It was the first time and only time it's ever happened to me, and I attribute it all to Damaris's ability and my willingness to be there. So yeah, that's insane, but it's true. That's my favorite match ever. Like, even though it's my own, I love it. I do.
My first women's match would be Bianca Belair versus Mercedes Moné at WrestleMania. That's my number. But that match, just the history of it all, you know, being two black women main event WrestleMania together, and it was for the world title. You know, it was just like a very special match, especially watching since as long as I've been watching. That wasn't even a thought that could happen. You know, so to see that, and they killed it. So,
Yes.
love that match. Love that match. That's my and Bianca is my favorite wrestler.
Yes. Mine is an older one. I don't know if it might be like showing my age a little bit, but it's one from 2004. It was Gaia. It was Awesome Kong, or at the time she was Amazing Kong. I think she was Amazing Kong at the time, versus Aja Kong, and that one meant a lot to me, like to see not just as two black women wrestling, but also like 2 black heavyweight women wrestling, and that was like really like inspiring for me because it's like I not only just saw someone that looked like me, like in terms of complexion, but also like in size, but also moving well and selling well, and you know, being able to like showing proficiency in the craft, and that was like something that was like super inspiring to me, and like I just remember being awestruck watching the whole match. So yeah.
For me, it is Sasha Banks versus Bailey at NXT TakeOver in Brooklyn. I was actually there live, and like, oh my god, that was when I knew like I wanted to be a wrestler, because just like the energy, the women, you know, wrestling was in a transition, like women's wrestling was in a transition, you know, from being like, you know, just known as divas, love the divas, like I said, but you know, going from like the 2-minute matches to having that freaking like 15-minute, 20-minute banger. Oh my god, I was like emotional. I felt everything. Best match, like I love it. Seriously, my mother's. Thank you.
See, I can't really think of nothing like just what Gabby
She doesn't
said,
want to say anything
like,
other than the match she's had with me. She'll feel
like
bad.
anytime like
Just kidding.
that
Say
match
whatever.
that she mentioned, like being the first women's like main event at that promotion, and it was like a lot of pressure, and anytime like a match get announced or something and people like expecting something, I always would get so nervous. I'm just like, I don't want to let anybody down, but anytime that I wrestled Gabby, it was just like so much respect. Like even though like she's been like Ring of Honor, Japan, everything, so she could be like oh yeah, well we gonna do what I wanna do or something like that. But she always would like show me so much love, so much respect. So anytime that I worked with her, it was like just so good. And even like behind the scenes, like it would be like promoters like hit me up saying like, oh, like Gabby Ortiz mentioned you, like were you interested in this? And that's just love. Like always like would respect her for that. And that match that she mentioned, that is one of my favorite matches too, because it just flowed, like everything flowed. Like when I usually after a match, I just be like, all right, what could I have done better? What could I have done better? But after that one, it was so much love from the locker room, like standing ovation and everything. I didn't even have time to like critique myself right there. I was like, oh, like it was good. Like I felt so good. And then probably the next day, I was like, all right, let me see what I could have done better. Like, then went to training. It was like, all right, I need to do this. But just that moment to share, it was really special.
She thinks like I didn't do all the things I wanted to do because I don't have an ego, but I honestly just wanted her to call a match. I was honestly just like, Damaris, you call it. Whatever you say, dude. No, but then that also is because there's a trust there, and you have to have a trust with your opponent. Trust in their judgment and trust in their ability to protect you, and and trust in their ability to call a decent match if like they needed to. And Damaris was always able to, and I knew I was able to, so I
Just needed to add, Damaris, he was like, you critique, and I'm like, girl, what? Every time I've ever watched you wrestle, I'm like, yes! That's why I was devastated when you was retired. I was like, no. But I'm gonna be extra, you know what I mean? So, if you guys can pick any job in wrestling for a day, what job would that be?
I've always wanted to like really be a manager, like really do it. So I would do it for more than a day because like I think I would do really well.
Yeah, I would want to be somebody's valet because I don't want to actually wrestle. Though I would go through a table. That's something I'd say.
No, you don't.
Don't remind her.
Say that now. Like I would want to be a valet, like a good indie wrestler, be his valet. I think we could do a lot.
I'm actually not sure because I mean, just started training as a wrestler, so I feel like the easy answer would be to say to be a wrestler. But I guess if I was to be something else, maybe like one of the stylist people. Yeah, I feel like that would be good because I did do like some fashion stuff before, so yeah, I think maybe I could be good with that. Style people.
Same thing. The easy answer is a wrestler, because like I wrestle. I wish I had the talent of a seamstress. If I could just make my own gear and not have to pay the amount that I pay for gear, I would be blessed.
I did it once and I was like, never.
Yeah, I bought a sewing machine and it's still collecting dust.
Yeah, I am going to take the easy answer. I would want to be a wrestler because once like you get to that point as a wrestler to where you're the main event and you're not caring about what other people are saying and you focus on like just perfecting your craft and having that confidence in the ring, like once you get to that point, it's just so much better. And like the last like few years of me wrestling, I was like at that point where I was just like, all right, at training, I'm gonna work on this, Then when I'm on the show, I'm gonna apply these things I learned at training. Because a lot of people will like train, but then like for some reason not apply what they train like in a match. And I'm just like, when people like will say like, oh, like that match was good, like I'm just like, yeah, I literally pieced together like every drill at training from this week and I wanted to try it. So I think once you get to that point where you just applying what you learn at training and translating it to a match, it's just like so much better and you just enjoy it a lot more. So yeah, I have the easy answer and I would say just wrestler.
I need to say, Haevyn, you want to go through a table, which is crazy.
Listen, I know someone who could put you through a table.
Exactly.
I know several.
Like, I took one bump. just one bump. And I was like, ooh, this is what y'all do every time you wrestle. I'm good. We don't need to, Katrina don't need to. That one bump had me sitting there like Jeff Hardy for the rest of the time. I was just laying there like, I was like, oh, you feel this every time you wrestle? This is a normal? Like, oh, keep me backstage. You don't need to see me at all backstage.
This
So,
is just hit me up.
power to you.
She's gonna take a bump and like never like no, then you're gonna want to keep doing it and then you're gonna like start training.
Next thing
it's
you're gonna be like,
you're
Katrina,
gonna
I'm
be
wrestling.
chasing that high forever.
Okay, let me get my camera going.
Could I make one quick complaint? Because like, I don't know, like it's something. It's probably just a me thing, but it's something that always irks me. Like, as soon like I'll be like at a live show or something, and like the match just started, like literally it's just ding ding ding, and then people are like, we want tables.
Oh yeah.
We want to,
They do
like,
that.
bro, the match just started. Can you relax? Like, let them build a story first. Like,
Yes. The story is the table.
Wrestling.
Where you go after the table? Now what? Now what? We got another table.
yeah, exactly.
You get the ladder, and then you go to another table.
Well, if you do a ladder, again, Jeff Hardy all day. Ladder, I'll be like, just leave me on the side of the ring for the rest of the match. It is fine. Win without me. Taking that out. Taking the L automatically. I will be done. But it is close to the ending of the panel. So you guys, tell them if you got anything happening. I better see some support and find y'all. And then I will open the floor to some questions.
So I help co-run a promotion called Bell to Bell based in South Jersey, 25 minutes over the bridge. I just wrestled there today, and I'm the champion. Who cares? No, I didn't pick that. I didn't want that. But anyway, I hope you guys check us out. We run every other month, I think. Yeah, it's all on Instagram. You can find it. And check out my movie when it comes out. It's called First State of Fear, and I hope you watch it. And just follow me at Gabby, Gabbity, on all of the platforms. I hope I see you there, guys.
You know, I post content every week, all week on social media, live on Twitch and TikTok every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for wrestling. It's Haevyn Rain everywhere, HAEVYNREYHNE. And Katrina's on there with me too sometimes on TikTok. So yeah.
Just be ranting on there.
Right.
I actually will be at Brooklyn Comic Con in June. I have a table. So,
That got you guys going.
thank you.
So you're wrestling too?
I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm ready yet.
We'll get you ready.
Yeah.
I can get her ready.
She's like, I got a table for you.
Get a table for you.
No, Haevyn wants the table.
But yeah, I'll be there. It's June 7th and 8th. So yeah, if y'all be in Brooklyn, I'll be there. And I do stream on Twitch sometimes also under Funky Punk NYC. So literally FUNKYPUNK And on Instagram, it's that_art. So Funky Punk NYC _art. So yeah, find me on there.
Swag. I didn't even prepare what I was going to say. At Jordy_JEM, JEM. Shout out to Battle Club. Y'all took a chance on me. You know, seriously. Like, it started off as a joke, but they really took me serious. And shout out to them for letting me have my first ever main event. We have several shows coming up. May 31st in the Bronx. We're actually also going to be at Brooklyn Comic Con. That's why I say you going to wrestle, because we're wrestling there. You know, support Giselle, support us. We also have Jobber Slam June 21st, and my personal favorite, we have a Pride show June 22nd. And I just also want to say that drag queens are actually the biggest inspiration behind JEM. So like the Pride show, like my message is drag is not a crime, and I just love to like authentically just express like the freedom of drag through JEM. So I wish I knew how to do the makeup, but we're one day at a time. But yeah, thank you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I really don't have any shows coming up or anything, but definitely follow them. Labor and Love, they have a show tomorrow, right?
Follow you.
I have Instagram __ DAMARIIS. You can follow me on Instagram. I think Labor and Love have a show tomorrow at 1. You can follow my wrestling school at Worldwide Dojo. They always doing big things over there, and I do credit them for just helping me build my confidence in the ring, because I really did struggle with that for a big portion of my career. So I do credit them for just helping me, and just even like today, it's just when I first started wrestling, I was like asked what I wanted, like why I want to wrestle, and I always was saying, oh, like I just want to inspire people. And so today is like a fulfillment of that, because I can just share my experiences through wrestling, and I just honestly like thank God for that. He's just showing me that when he puts a desire in you and you just are obedient, like he will like fulfill his promise to you. And that's like a lot of what I've been doing post wrestling, is just he gave me the chance to fulfill a dream for 10 years that I literally grew up with very low self-esteem. And for me to be able to wrestle for that long, when I wanted to quit wrestling within 7 months of training, somehow I had a 10-year career. So I just really want to thank God and just give him like praise for that, because there's no other way that I could have did that on my own. So I really just want to take the moment to just thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, because I couldn't have did it without him.
Do you want to quickly shout out Anthony?
Aw, thank you.
I didn't know there was any wrestling happening when I got the approval for my panel, and then I was like, oh, there's wrestling happening. Let me just message and see if he knows anybody in the area, because if I do a panel in a place, I like to have wrestlers from that area. I think that's the correct thing to do. And Anthony quickly, Damaris, Gabby, I was like, well, I know them, but if you can make this work, and he did it so quickly, responded so quickly, so thank you. Your show was great. You too, Drew, I saw you doing your thing in the main event, so it was great. You guys definitely go check them out. Tomorrow, if you're here, definitely go check them out. And Yolanda, because I see you.
She made all my wrestling.
I know, and I just want to say thank you for showing up. I wanted to get her on the panel, but they did not get back to me about adding a 7th person to here. But I wanted to. She designs wrestling gear, so definitely give her a follow. Give her a support. So thank you so much for coming up to her all the time.
So fast, like.
And you ladies, like I said, this panel is always just really cool that I'm able to even I go to cons every year at a con because I'm a big nerd. And wrestling and comics is just a big thing for me. And so you guys, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy weekend. You worked the show and you came here. You worked overnight. And they were ready, they came in. So thank you so much. I love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank Katrina.
If y'all have any questions, you can try to make it quick because you have to be done soon. And quickly come up, ask your questions. If y'all have any,
Don't be shy.
I got one. So first of all, awesome you guys being up here. The wife's a professional in a male-dominated industry. She says very similar things. But, Gabby,
Yes.
you had mentioned that you were working at
Kenny's?
office
Yeah,
and wrestling at the same time?
I was.
You use office stuff in wrestling or wrestling stuff in the office? What's the wrestling stuff?
Well, I worked for Jim Kenny, and people didn't like him very much, so I had to use my mouth and almost my fists a few times in that office because he has a whole detail, but they were nowhere to be found at the time. So yeah, I had to. Wrestling made me a lot tougher because I'm an incredibly sensitive individual. Like I cry at a Swiffer commercial if it gets me the right way. Wrestling taught me to really stand up for myself in that environment, and that's why I lasted there for 8 years, and a lot of the people I started with were working at a nonprofit after. Not that the nonprofit is bad, but you know.
Someone who's really helped you in the business, and if you're not part of the business, maybe just in life in general.
Me?
All of you,
okay.
yeah, real quick.
My dad. My dad's the best person in the world to me. He has got me through it. And there's a lot of times when I don't want to wrestle, I don't want to have a match, but I know he's going to be there because he always shows up. And I have to, you know, I have to make it work for him, and I have to make it look good, and I have to make him proud. So it's my dad for sure.
I'm gonna say Mark Henry. I don't know if you know who Mark Henry is. He DM'd me, and he told me, you know, he likes what I'm doing, to keep doing it. He gave me a lot of good advice. Actually, he invited me to one of his meet and greets that was in Queens, and I got to sit down with him and just talk. He gave me a lot of good advice, and I thought that was so cool because Mark Henry messaged me, you know, to tell me I was doing a good job and to like help me out. So I will never forget that, and I appreciate that so much. So,
I think I would say a friend of mine, her name is Shantice. You know Shantice, nice, yeah. She has always been like such a big supporter of me and like always like big me up and like would tell me that like I'm special or like have like the so-called X factor or whatever. And she would like put me on to like a lot of like different people in the industry and stuff like that, and would even like go out of her way to like try to get me involved with like some shows or stuff like that. So and it was through her that I met one of my current trainers. Shout out to T2T Wrestling. Yes, like through her I met one of my current trainers. He goes by Logan Black. I don't know if anyone knows Logan Black, but he's awesome, and creates such a great environment for learning to wrestle and being like a still like kind of what's the word I'm looking for, like kind of uncertain about my abilities and stuff like that, and like just provides like such a great environment for not just for beginners but for everybody, you know, like everyone to feel welcome and feel like they can develop to be a good wrestler if that's what you want. So
a quick, because he needs to get us out of here. So.
What?
Oh,
sure.
Yeah, the guy right there. So just, you know, try to be quick.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, you're good.
Yeah. My mama and papa, they told me to go to school. This dude will support me. Also, my original mentor, his name is Juan Jeremy. He passed away in October. But if it wasn't for him, I met him at UFC gym. He got me into the wrestling business, and I owe it to him for me being here in the first place, period. So, thank you, Juanito. Seriously.
Okay, guys, we have to skedaddle. I'm sorry, ran over. But thank you guys for coming. I truly appreciate you guys. And definitely check out Liquor Love tomorrow if you're here. I'm